And we are live. Are we live? We should be live. Thanks to our good friends over at StreamYard who always keep us covered with this beautiful stream that make it so easy for us to do from home. If you hate my takes, by the way, and let me just say this before I get into any content here. If you hate my takes and want to do more on your own, there is a link in the description of this video where you can go ahead and download StreamYard, get started. They'll hook you up with $25 off on your first order. Once again, content creation, sports media, one of the best things you can do in this world. Go ahead, take advantage of that discount because StreamYard is so good to us. They're the ones who allow us to do all of this and provide you guys with all this amazing content. We have Jaime joining us a little later on, I think, and Josh joining us a little later on as well. But let me start with this because I want to address the Knicks, of course, because this is what we do primarily on this show. But I want to talk about Tom Thibodeau and the way he's gone about coaching this postseason and how it's giving me flashbacks to Tom Coughlin. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that because us Giants fans will always remember his mantra. When we win, you win. When we lose, I lose. That was always the Tom Coughlin way. And let me say this about Thibodeau because a lot of the positives that have come the Knicks' way this season, the credit has gone to the players while Tibbs gets no flowers. And a lot of the negatives go straight to Tibbs without much regard for the players. And Exhibit A is Josh Hart will play all 48 minutes. And in an era of NBA players who love their rest and love to not play defense, Tibbs puts his foot down and says, sorry, dude, you got to go out there and do what's best for me. You got to go out there and do what's best for the team. And you're going to go out there and play like you're on a 10-day contract all 48 minutes. We praise Josh Hart for this. And on the other hand, Julius Randle is in against the Heat late in the game while we have the lead. Julius Randle has always been an aggressive and, dare I say, somewhat out of control player. He goes down, he gets hurt. And it's Tibbs' fault for having him in. Never mind you that Julius Randle is a player who gives the charge. Never mind that Julius Randle has had significant injuries in his career. And I love Julius Randle, but Tibbs got blamed for his injury. And I know he hasn't done the things in his coaching career that Tom Coughlin has, so I'm not comparing them as individuals who have accomplished certain things. But I'm simply saying that this type of attitude, when you stick to your beliefs as a coach and take all the bullshit that comes along with it, this is what we as New Yorkers respect. And I don't know how this season is going to end. But whatever the outcome, I hope Tibbs gets his extension and keeps staying true to his style. And I hope we continue to surround him with players who will actually buy into it. Because if we keep surrounding him with the few remaining players in the league who buy into this type of coaching and can actually be coached, we're going to continue to outgrit players. We're going to continue to outgrit other teams, and we will get by doing this. That's my thought process. I'm curious what you guys think. And there's another topic I want to get to because, once again, we might have Jaime joining us soon. We might have Coach Cole joining us soon. I haven't heard from either of them. And as you guys know, I produce this show myself because StreamYard allows me to do so. But I have no idea whether they're joining us or not. But another thing that I've been meaning to get to for a long time now. And once again, Jason is not with me, but he should do his own video on this. And it's time. Minnesota Timberwolves fans, I owe your entire state an apology. In case you guys were not aware, I very incorrectly called the Timberwolves a fraud number 1 seed in a video just a few months ago. So let me say 3 quick things about this whole scenario. Number 1, even though they did not get the number 1 seed, it does not make me any less wrong about what I said because the word fraud and Timberwolves should have never been used in the same sentence. And I was wrong. And as of recording, they're actually down 3-2 to Denver. And you guys are going to say, oh, of course he waited till now. No. I had things going on in my life. I didn't have time to get to this. But win, lose, or draw in this series, this is a real motherfucking team. And to me, they're what's beautiful about basketball. They play real defense. They play for each other. That ball moves. They're rallying around a young rising star who to me looks like Michael Jordan going up against the Celtics, an insanely talented young player who's going to be the star, who might just be outmatched by a better top to bottom team with Denver right now. But nevertheless, I was wrong. The second thing I want to say, and this is not so much to Minnesota fans, but for anyone who wants to enter the sports content space, and those of you who know, I was at ESPN for 3 years. I was at La Liga for 2 years. And let me say this about working in sports media. If you're the type of person who cannot admit when you're wrong, don't enter this space. It's sports. If you take it so seriously, and if you take yourself so seriously that you can't admit that you whiffed on something, I would say politics is probably the better fit for you. And lastly, number 3, to you Minnesota people, it is perfectly fine to hate the opinion, but you shouldn't ever hate the person, especially if you're watching this program, because it wasn't all of you, but there were a lot of personal comments in there that weren't very friendly, took things a little too far. And when I started this platform, that was never the goal. The goal was never hate. The goal was never angst. The goal was never to create enemies. And I'm hoping that one of you Minnesota fans hears this and says, damn, you know what? That motherfucker Hank, he actually is a nice dude. Because there is a place called Ottertail Lake in Minnesota that I have always wanted to visit. It's one of the most beautiful lakes in the country. Someone fact check me if I'm wrong here, but Minnesota has over 10,000 lakes, right? And I've always wanted to visit any of those lakes, but especially Ottertail Lake. So any of you Minnesota fans, it's all love from my end. And I hope one day one of you has a house out there and you can invite the man and we'll sit out there on the lake and have a drink or 10. But we're getting some comments here in the chat. So let me quickly address Corey Wheeler here, because big shout out to the man Corey, are you from Minnesota, my boy? Because if you're from Minnesota, I appreciate the love. Obviously, the goal was never to offend any Timberwolves fans. The goal on this platform is to bring people together to talk about sports, to celebrate the things that we love, to celebrate, what makes sports so beautiful. And I've been in this media game a long time. And if you can't admit that you're wrong, it ain't for you. And so to all you Minnesota fans, Corey, so you're not from Minnesota. I guess you're not as cool then. But nevertheless, appreciate the love. And I think we're going to get Josh Macri joining us in a few moments here. He's a big Celtics guy. Let me just send him a text real quick. And so, to you Minnesota fans, it's all love. And I touched on it before, but it does seemingly feel like they're a little bit outmatched by Denver. And that's not a slight at Minnesota. I mean, this is the defending NBA champion we're talking about. But it is very reminiscent. And I'm not going to act like I lived through this era. I was like -10 when this stuff was happening. But it very much looks like Michael Jordan going up against the Boston Celtics, where even the Celtics, in this case the Nuggets, are looking at them and looking at the Bulls and looking at Michael Jordan saying, that's going to be the problem going forward. I think Anthony Edwards is going to be the problem going forward. I don't think that's a hot take to say. And excuse me, let me take a sip of water. If you guys were with us during the summer, we were watching a lot of Team USA during FIBA. And Jaime, I don't think is able to join us, but I would have loved to hear his thoughts on this. But we were watching Team USA, and the conversations we were having was that of this young rising core group of guys in the NBA, the SGAs, the Anthony Edwards, the Nikola Jokic's, this new era, the Halliburtons, dare I say, the Brunsons. Anthony Edwards, we said, was going to be the guy who that summer separated himself from the rest of the pack. And he has absolutely done that. I think he did it over the summer in Team USA, but he affirmed it this year and with everything that he's doing in the playoffs. And I think my boy Josh Macri is about to join, so let me make sure he's all squared up. If any of you guys ever want to help the lads out and be part of this fine program here, and hop on and just be a producer for an episode to handle guests, let me know, because the boy is dolo at the moment. Friends of friends, friends of Hank. I'm a little bit alone right now, but I see some people in the comments talking about the Knicks as well. Martisma Lance, hope I'm getting your name right. Tibbs is as perfect of a New York coach as I've seen since Rick Pitino was coaching the Knicks in the 90s. That might be a hot take, but I appreciate the comment. Martiza, I hope I'm getting that name right, but appreciate the love as always. I know you love Tibbs, and just so you're aware, I love you as well. But we have a guest who needs some attention right now. No one else showed up for me tonight. We were supposed to have Jaime. We were supposed to have Coach Cole, but leave it to my man to take some time out of his busy night, just putting the kids to bed a moment ago. And it's past 7 o'clock, so I always say it's his time to be knee-deep in matzo ball soup, but instead he's joining us. Let me welcome on my good friend, Senor Josh Macri. What's up, my brother? How you doing?
Good. It's Maritza, by the way, not Martiza.
Right. You know, I get a lot of slack for mispronouncing names, but I deserve a pass in this one. When you're producing the program by yourself and having to deal with comments, having to welcome on guests, having to deal with last-minute cancellations, I get a pass for mispronouncing a name.
Just sound it out, homeboy. Maritza, Maritza.
All right. Well, you and I have both heard worse pronunciations in our lifetime.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, and so all right, let's get into this real quick. And once again, thanks to our good friends over at StreamYard. And I said it off the top of the show, but if you hate our takes, don't be afraid to go ahead and start your own podcast here, because if you look in the description link in our bio, you will see a link that will give you $25 off on your first StreamYard order. So should you feel you could do this thing better than us, and I'm sure you guys can, well, go ahead and prove it, and you get $25 off when you do it. So use that link in the description. And let's talk about this real quick. And because the Knicks right now, of the teams listed on this, have the longest odds to win the title. I don't think that's crazy disrespectful. But the big takeaway for me in this one is that Boston is incredibly overvalued at minus 135. But your thoughts as a Celtics fan?
They're incredibly overvalued. I mean, the best value there is Denver, obviously. But some money is better than no money. So, I mean, I would take the Celtics. The thing is, they're going to just stroll through the East. I know you're a Knicks fan, but let's be real here. If you guys can hold on and beat the Pacers, you're so banged up, no disrespect, you don't stand a chance. You just don't stand a chance. So the Celtics will win the Eastern Conference Finals in 5 or 6. The West is an absolute battle royale right now. I mean, so whoever comes out of the West is going to be gassed. So I'm not sure. Honestly, I think Denver's probably the most talented team and the one that scares me the most, obviously, as a Celtics fan. But if you want me to lay down a couple of units, I'm still taking Boston just because I think it's more of a sure thing.
So the thing that concerns me is at no point in a series going forward right now do the Celtics have a coaching advantage.
No, not even close. Yeah, I mean, Joe Mazzulla is a liability. And the thing about the Celtics thus far is they've had one game in the postseason thus far, which was game 4 against Cleveland, that has been within 10 points, either positive or negative. They haven't had to make key decisions late in games. And I think because of that. I mean, first of all, I still trust Tatum in crunch time. I do, just because he's so talented. But they haven't been in an atmosphere where that clutch gene has to come out. They haven't been in an atmosphere where Missoula has the pressure on him to draw something up when it really matters. And, you get into a series with Denver, you get into a series with Dallas, you get into a series with Minnesota, and that's going to come into play. And I think Missoula is definitely a liability there. I mean, we saw it last year in the series against the Heat. Now, that said, I mean, Spoelstra, I'm not really going out on a limb by saying Spoelstra can coach circles around Missoula. Obviously, Spoelstra can coach circles around most guys. But I think Missoula, in the margins, which is when championships are won and lost, Missoula is definitely a liability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. And real quick, let's bring on the boy Jaime, because he's also a fan of a team that has run coaching circles around your Boston Celtics. And that's the beauty of this program. I got my two former ESPN guys who I don't think have ever met. They're probably meeting for the first time right now. One's a Heat fan, one's a Celtics fan. Jaime, are you buying any of this Boston minus 135 NBA title odds?
Well, look, first of all, how you fellas doing? I hope everybody's well. But I do like Boston and Denver to meet in the finals. I've said that from the beginning once my Heat were eliminated, that Boston's going to go in the East. I think the Heat were the toughest match. I was a little concerned about Denver when the Wolves had them on a limb. But, yeah, I'm buying it. I'm definitely buying it. I don't see why Boston and Denver are the two favorites. I mean, I think they look like the best teams, complete teams. The coaching, I was listening. The coaching is of concern to Boston, but I think they should meet in the finals.
Yeah, I think my Knicks are getting slighted a little bit. I mean, we're up in the series right now.
No, I didn't. Come on, you didn't let me start off like that. You know I wanted to start off like that, Henry. So I don't even know why you started off with the odds talk. Listen, I think the Knicks are exactly where they need to be. All right, boy? That's exactly where they need to be. 6 right there in that title odd.
You know who's getting slated is the Wolves. Would you put it past the Wolves to come back and win this series?
OKC shouldn't be plus 260.
No. OKC shouldn't be plus 260. Minnesota shouldn't be plus 1,700 right now. I mean, you could make the case that Edwards is the best player left in the postseason. You could make that case. I mean, it's probably Jokic, but you're telling me that Minnesota can't win 2 straight games? They already did. Right. They could do it. I mean, they could easily do it again.
I will say
them against.
The one thing I say is Game 7 in Denver.
Yeah, it's tough, but plus 1,700. If you're going to throw a couple shekels on it, why not?
Yeah. These were the odds as of this morning, and there'll be action tonight, so we'll see what happens there. But I thought to me the biggest takeaway is Boston is being incredibly overvalued at minus 135. I haven't seen enough elite coaching. I haven't seen enough clutch play to jump on that line. Denver is the value in that one.
To play devil's advocate to myself, though, and yes, I am a pessimistic sports fan. I'm a cynical sports fan. So I think Missoula in the margins, as I said, is a negative for the Celtics. That said, why? I mean, we haven't seen him be a negative this season in close games. So why are we just assuming that it will be? I mean, what happens if they just run to the finals and win every game by 20 fucking points? I mean, then he doesn't have a chance to be a negative.
No one.
And they're capable of doing that. Right, but nobody gets to this point in the second round winning every game by double digits. The Celtics have.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about them like they're like peak Golden State dynasty. I mean, like we've seen this team collapse. Like they haven't won a title yet. They have the most in the last 5 years. They have the most playoff wins of any team, and they don't have a title to show for it.
I'm not talking about them like they're 2017 Golden State, but I'm talking about them like they're 14-15 Golden State. Sure. Why not?
All right, fair enough. All right. Well, We'll begin to wrap here. Jaime, we'll say bye to you first because you look like you got a nice hot date. You got to head somewhere, and we don't support driving and podcasting. That's one thing we
No,
will not allow.
well, I didn't. I stopped. Because I'm at the location I need to be. But listen, I want to do this. I want to say this because you're on and you brought me on the Knicks, right? The Knicks. You know, I'm gonna give it to you until the Knicks are either champions or out. So the bottom line is, I told you this last week. As long as Brunson goes, the Knicks go, right? And I think it's going to be a good series, and I actually think the Knicks will prevail in 7, right? But if Brunson has any collapse, I'm concerned about you guys. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Going out on a limb there, Jaime.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the way Brunson is playing, I mean, damn, I can't. I mean, it's going to be tough for Indiana, to be honest with you, because if Brunson goes, they go. You know, now when they reach Boston, it's a different story. I don't think they stand a chance against Boston.
I think when Joe Mazzulla's got a plan until you walk into the real Garden and things get a little more intense. I don't know. I don't think Boston's unbeatable. Put it that way.
They're not unbeatable. They are unbeatable in the East. They're unbeatable in the East.
I think if the Knicks get there and we are missing 4 key players, it's going to be, we're not going to beat them. But a fully healthy Knicks team against a fully healthy or against a Boston team that doesn't have Porzingis, that's a series.
But neither of those things is happening. Porzingis is going to be back, and you guys aren't healthy. So yeah, we could talk fantasy land all you want, but it's not the reality.
Yeah, well,
Henry, come on, brother. I love you, but what you doing? What are you doing?
Look, never.
You're speaking like that Knicks fan that I told you about 2 weeks ago.
I know. The thing is, you guys have to let me have some sort of shine, simply because in my lifetime, because I wasn't old enough to remember the Knicks in the finals in '99, and I wasn't alive in '94, and this is the greatest moment in my lifetime as a sports fan with how the Knicks and how the Rangers are both playing.
Fair enough.
What about that? What about that time that Melo and Amare won a playoff game together and got a parade in the Canyon of Heroes for almost getting out of the first round?
It's right up there with Linsanity as far as marquee moments in my life.
He said by almost getting out of the first round. It's a good one. I like that.
All right, Jaime. Thanks as always. We'll talk to you on the flip side when the Knicks are in the conference finals.
Hey, listen, and I'll support it, and I'll tell you, hey, good for you, brother, because they're well deserved.
My man, appreciate it. We'll talk.
All right, brother. All right.
So, back to just the lads here for a moment, and
sorry, I keep looking away. That there's 3 minutes left in the first quarter. I mean, this is live, so I'm gonna look away.
We're gonna say bye here, but I just wanted how are you feeling about the Bruins? Are you guys got to head down to Florida, or what's going on?
No, we're going back to our barn in Boston for Game 6. Chucky and Pasta and the boys are welcoming in the Panthers for Game 6 in our barn. But the Bruins, when they're in the home barn, they usually grip the sticks a little tighter, and it doesn't usually go so well. I mean, in Boston in Game 5, the Bruins were outshot 42-18. You can't do that to your netminder.
I think you guys will be all right as Chucky bright lights can get going, keep a little momentum going, boys can get flying up and down the ice, get some pucks on net. I think you guys can be all right.
Florida's forecheck's a real killer there. It really is. Getting a lot of odd man rushes for the Panthers.
All right, well, there's our hockey analysis for the night. I hope you all enjoyed it. Appreciate everyone in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that dirty work. And once again, check out that link in the bio. Should you want to start your own podcast, use that StreamYard link. You get 25% off when you do so. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No. Oh, yes, one. What do you think of the Giants? Did you see today with the NFL schedule release that the Giants are the team on not real Hard Knocks and not in-season Hard Knocks, but I think it's called off-season Hard Knocks. So is that just going to be like Daniel Jones going to the beach?
off season with Daniel Jones has to be one of the most boring pieces of content you could possibly come up with.
Like, who came up? Like, who decided that was a good idea?
Yeah, and how about the poor Germans that have to sit through Giants Panthers at the Allianz in Munich? How about that? Those poor bastards out there.
Woof.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. You want to grow the game, and here we have Bryce Young taking on. I'm calling it right now. Drew Lock will start that game in Munich, and you expect the best part of that game will be when they sing Country Roads, because it's going to be a 3-0 game heading into the fourth quarter, and there'll be turnovers, fumbles, missed field goals. Giants will go through 2 different quarterbacks. That's a horrible game.
Educate me here. Why are they going to sing Country Roads for Giants Panthers in Germany?
Oh, you must not be aware. It's a Bavarian classic, Country Roads by John Denver. You must not have seen the videos that went viral when they sang it last time. Clearly you hadn't.
No, I missed that. Yeah.
You didn't see when the German fans sang Bavarian classic Country Roads? But
no.
All right, well,
it must have escaped me.
Yeah, I'll send it to you another time, but we'll go ahead and say goodbye. Thanks as always for tuning in. Go like, subscribe, and we'll see you lads next time.